The first two videos in this series got our VPS refreshed with a clean, updated operating system and a new install of CyberPanel. By the end of this video, we'll have functional DNS and a secure email server with valid SSL certificates. Let's continue on with the configuration. Alrighty, now that we're logged in, the first thing we want to do is, let's resize the window here a little bit so that it looks nicer. There we go. Because it's better if we can get the resources to show on the right-hand side here rather than being down in the second row. All right, so now that we've got this resized and looking a bit better, first thing we're going to do is go into our users, and we are going to modify the admin account because by default it has this stuff in here, and we don't want that. So let's call this my lab admin, and let's do admin at and for the email address, we'll go ahead and put in a valid email address so that we can receive any kind of installation generated emails. And for the password, we will just go ahead and re-enter the auto-generated admin password. Now, if you wanted to do two-factor authentication here, you can click the little checkbox. It'll give you the QR code, and you can scan that QR code into Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, 1Password, or whatever other password manager you use that supports the one-time password TOTP. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, when that QR code comes up, it does not give you a code that you can type. The only option for this particular QR code entry is to scan it with a camera. So I'm not going to do that right now. Just go ahead and click on Modify User so that it updates with the valid email address for any kind of notifications here. Okay, next we want to create a website to act as a container for all of our DNS stuff, and it's also going to be our email server and root website for the root domain. We will create website, and for package we'll just go with default, set the owner to admin. We'll do our root domain here. Again, we'll use a valid email address, and PHP will go with the latest version. Okay, additional features. We want to enable all the additional features. So SSL, of course, we want Let's Encrypt to have an SSL certificate for our homepage there. DKIM support, that will help out with our email validation when it comes to the recipient email servers confirming whether or not we are a valid server to be sending emails. Open base dir protection. This will help prevent any PHP scripts from getting outside of the home directory of this website. And we want to create a mail domain. So with all of these checked, it's going to create all the necessary DNS entries for our MX records and all of that lovely stuff for the SPF as well. So this is going to take a few minutes to create because it's got to create all the directories, copy in all of the template files, put out the request to Let's Encrypt for the SSL certificate, install the certificate in the different places. Then it's got to create the child domain for the mail. It's got several things to do here, so it's going to take a minute or two. Alrighty, that is finished up there. So let's go take a look at our DNS. And let's create, what do we want to do here? Configure default name servers. Let's do ns1.mylab.page, ns2.mylab.page. We'll set those, and we will create our actual name servers here. So our domain is mylab.page. And we've got our IP address, so let's grab that from our URL bar there. Enter the FQDN, the fully qualified domain name, to your first name server. Paste in the IP address and put in FQDN to your second name server. So we'll create the name server there. All of that looks good. Now let's go take a look at our DNS records. We'll select the MyLab page domain, and we'll see we've got some A records here. We've got some CNAME records. We've got our mail exchange records. Under TXT, we can see that we have our SPF entry. So that's the one that's going to let a recipient email server know that, hey, this IP address is authorized to be sending mail for this particular domain. So if I were to add a different server, so if I wanted to allow another server, such as a home server or a different VPS, to send email from this domain and not have it instantly detected as spam, I would make sure to add an additional entry here to include the IP address of that home server or additional VPS. Okay, we've got our two name server records here. So this is all looking good. So let's go ahead and take a look at our DNS lookup here and see whether or not that's working. So we've got the mylab.page entered there, and we're using Google as the name server. That went pretty quick. We've got an A record here. We've got the MX record. We've got our name server records. This is good. No pointer, that's fine. No SRV, that's fine. We've got our start of authority. We've got our SPF entry. This is great. Okay, so this is all looking good. Let's go back over to our control panel. Where'd it go? Okay, so what is next? Oh yes, we want to enable SSL on the mail server. So let's go take a look at our SSL management. Mail server SSL, so we'll click on that and select website. We want the mail.mylab.page because mail.mylab.page is going to be the target server for any mail entries. So right now, this is going out. It's retrieving an SSL certificate from Let's Encrypt, and it's configuring it for our postfix and dovecot so that our SMTP server and our IMAP server and POP3 all will have the ability to accept SSL-based or TLS-based connections. So let's double check those DNS records. Did it say the MX was? Oh, actually that was right here. MX, mylab.page, mail.mylab.page. So yes, this is what we wanted to have that SSL certificate on, is the mail.mylab.page for the mail system. Good, good, good. Okay, so next thing we'll do is we will create an email account for our admin user. So let's go to email, create email. Select website. So when we select website, that is what domain we want the mail to be at. So the username is going to be admin, and we'll put in a password for the email. Now keep in mind this will be different than the admin login for CyberPanel. Okay, we'll create that. Take a look at the mail server settings. So people will create their email accounts here and they'll say, hey, wait a minute, I'm using Outlook or I'm using Thunderbird, I'm using some other mail system. How can I connect to this email server here in CyberPanel to send and receive emails? Well, if we go here to list emails and we click on the mylab.page, we can see these are the configuration settings for all of the different protocols. We can see we've got our POP3 here for standard POP mail, default port 110. You don't really want to be using that anymore because it's not encrypted. So you definitely want to go with the SSL on 995. And for IMAP, so going to mail.mylab.page. And while the default port is 143, again, that's unencrypted. So you want to go with 993 here. And for sending your email outbound, 25, that's not encrypted, so you want to go with either 587 or 465 with SSL enabled. And it's going to use the start TLS to encrypt the email once that initial handshake is set up. All right, so let's take a look at what our webmail actually looks like here. If we go back to email, access webmail. So we can access webmail right here. It is essentially the same URL as your CyberPanel. It's using the same port, but it's using /Rainloop. So here we want to log in with our full email address and our password. And we can see that we have an email server here. So I've seen comments in some of the other posts and forums that I've looked at where people have had trouble sending to Gmail for some reason. So let's go ahead and check that, because that happens to be an account that I use. So for the subject, we'll just say testing mail from new CyberPanel system. Okay, hello Burke. I hope this email finds you in good health. Happy holidays. There we go. And we will send that. That should be in our sent items. Excellent. Now let me click over to my Gmail and see whether or not I got that. Hit refresh. Now this could take a minute or two. So it looks like it actually landed in the spam for my Gmail. Let's see here. Why is this message in spam? It is similar to messages that were identified as spam in the past. Okay, I will report not spam. I can go back to my inbox and I will reply. Now I'm doing all of this on another screen. Let's see here. I got the mail just fine, but it was in the spam folder. And send. Okay, so I just sent a reply back from my Gmail account. So we should see that arriving here pretty shortly in Rainloop. Reload message list. Let's go ahead and do that. Hey, look at that. It's already there. Okay, so our email is working, going in and out. Now, I'm kind of curious why it went to the spam folder on Gmail side. Let's take a look at mailtester.com and we will try out our mail server to see what's going on here. So I need to send an email to that. Let's copy that. We'll go back over to Rainloop, create a new message, and where is paste? There it is. I wasn't clicked all the way into the box there. Okay. Testing new mail server setup. Let's see how this scores in the mail tester. Okay. Yeah, we've got that sent off, and we'll click back over to our mail-tester.com. Give that about a moment, and let's try checking the score. Hey, okay, so you're not fully authenticated. What does that mean? Oh, yes. Okay, so this is what's going on. So I'm still using the IP address. That's what's going on here. Reverse DNS does not match with your sending domain. That's actually okay, because we see that my IP address is associated with mylab.page. It is my root domain, but the mail is coming from mail.mylab.page. That's okay. Let's see what else. Your message could be improved. Let's see what they're saying here. Your message does not contain a list unsubscribe header. Well, that's fine because this is not a mailing list. All right, well, we've got a 10 out of 10, so I think I'll be happy with that. Okay, excellent. What do I have up next? Oh, yes. We have all of this lovely information here for setting up mail. So let's go ahead and open up Thunderbird. I am on a Linux Mint system right now, and Thunderbird is available. Here we go. Okay, so I am admin at mylab.page. Get my lovely little password in there. And I'm going to hit configure manually just so that I can make sure that everything is set properly. My server is mail.mylab.page on both of these. Port for, let's see, incoming, we're going to do IMAP, which is 993. Authentication is going to be a normal password. And SMTP, we want to use 587 there. Normal password. And for SSL, we want the, let's see how that does. Retest. Following settings were found. Okay, this looks like it should all work. Let's check this out and see if we can send an email from here. Okay. There's that test email from earlier. And how about if I just reply to that one? There we go. All right, simple little message, and we'll hit send. Okay, connected, sending. Whoa, hey, that's already done. Excellent. So if you notice that we did configure that to use SSL TLS, we used the right ports for all of that, and we are all set. So now we have a secure email server using valid SSL certificates, and those should be getting renewed automatically via the Let's Encrypt integration that CyberPanel provides to us. Now our server is actually functional. Our email services are secure and DNS has been confirmed working. The final video of this series will walk through the topics showing on screen now. The focus of part 4 is cleaning up access to the CyberPanel admin page and getting rid of the need to use port 8090. As a bonus, we'll install a dark mode for the UI and do a WordPress installation.